All right, let's go ahead and jump into the Bitcoin price action. We had talked about the FOMC meeting in yesterday's live stream, as well as what that historically has represented in the previous day. So let's go ahead and actually talk about the price action now that we do have these rate cuts, and talk about, was this actually a bullish catalyst for the markets? And as I've been saying, I think it will be initially. So the base case remains the same. I think we're going to all-time highs relatively soon here into election season, October, November, maybe December, maybe into early 2025, and I think we're coming near to where the final phases of this bull market will start to play out. You should see Bitcoin dominance start to drop. You should see your altcoin season, and then of course you would see Bitcoin making an all-time high. Now that being said, there is still the chance we come down here lower, and that is because we still have the CME gap, right? Let's not forget we got this down here, but in my opinion, what this is going to signal, since we left it behind, right, I think price is going to continue on up. We're not going to go test this right now. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and break all-time highs. Everyone will get super euphoric up there at the highs, and then we will distribute here and then come back down, and that's when you actually do fill the CME gap. I think this right here is going to be our warning sign, since we left that behind, that we are just going into an upthrust after distribution, and it's not going to play out into this 4-year cycle. But that's not actually a big confluence to say that's going to happen, because you just look back at last cycle and you actually made 2 CME gaps before launching up into the bull market. So back down here in 2020, we made a CME gap at around $19,000, and then we made one at around $25,000 right as Bitcoin was marching on up to its all-time highs, and this rally continued for quite some time, right? The top didn't come in here. We didn't fill the CME gap. You would have expected that to get filled. It didn't happen. We just continued on up. So I would say the CME gaps don't have to fill a lot of the times, and it's actually not the best confluence to say we're going to come back down and grab it, and that's the warning sign that guarantees it is. But it is certainly another confluence. I'm mainly focused on unemployment, inverted yield curve. We have to see what those do. If we do see unemployment continue to spike when Bitcoin's up here at these highs, then yeah, there's not really a good chance that it's going to continue on to the $500,000 targets that some people are calling for. But we'll see what happens. Structurally, this is very similar to what we had back at the beginning of 2020. You look over here at the Bitstamp chart. We'll pull the descending channel we're in right now. Just going to pull that very arbitrarily and then drag it on down to where we were in last cycle, and you can see a bit steeper, right, but very similar, right, bear market range that we're having within here. Big channel that was respected very well, and when we broke out of this, we went ahead and fired on up to the entire parabola for Bitcoin. I think we're already halfway through the parabola. I think we're more closely to here, so you could say, we're forming this sort of structure, and it's just a much longer consolidation within this range. I would say that is a good argument to say, this is where price action is here on Bitcoin, and we're going to fractal something similar to this right here. We have the second wave that kind of doubles what this move was within here. So you can see 136% versus the second wave up here was about 100%. So if you were to take that thesis, you could say this impulsive move was from this low. So from this low to this high, you're looking at around 92%. Take a little bit off of that, just like last cycle. Let's just say from this low, it's 80, 75%. You're looking at around $90,000. So if it were to fractal from this point, you're actually looking at around $90,000. I think that's more likely, that's more conservative, that's more realistic. So yeah, don't be surprised if we do get something like this. As far as price targets go on Bitcoin, that's kind of the best bet in my opinion, but of course price targets are very much impossible to predict, so we'll just have to let time play out. We got to see what sentiment's like as price continues on up. We got to see what those economic data numbers say, and then of course what the price action is telling us, which currently on these shorter term time frames, let's talk about what needs to happen. So since we're not out of the woods yet, since we still have the CME gap lower, since these lows are not perfect, we want to see Bitcoin get a higher high on price. You can see throughout this entire range, this descending channel, we have not been able to make a higher high. Every time Bitcoin comes up, it has made a lower high, signaling a bearish structure. So we want to break this structure, right? We need this higher high, higher low, and then we can go ahead and target all-time highs. Let's see if we can get that confirmation of structure change. If we can get the higher high, I think it's very, very probable that you would go to all-time highs after that, after making another higher low. But currently we are struggling at the value area high of a previous range. So you can see this green dashed line that comes across here, value area high being respected pretty well, but we're with inside value now. So let's see if the value area low can hold, and then we can go ahead and break up above that and start heading on up higher for Bitcoin. But overall right now, even though we're at a small resistance point, most of our volume is actually below us. You look at this visible range volume profile, you can see lots of volume sitting below us here on price. So you got the big supportive levels down below that would likely hold if we do pull back, and we're really forming some good bullish structure here on the shorter term time frame. Especially looking over here at order flow on trading light, you can see a lot of positions were closed. All of these top longers were closed out, and then we got nice supportive buying pressure right here on price, but nothing too crazy up at the highs. You don't have a lot of longs fumbling at the highs, just consistently, good buying pressure. Could a lot of this get swept out? Sure, Bitcoin likes to reset open interest on its moves up, so don't be surprised if we get pullbacks, right? Bullish corrections are always a thing that do happen. We got our hourly VWAP sitting much lower with these single prints down here at around 58.3, so we could come down quite a bit. That wouldn't really surprise me all too much, but I think there is a chance that Bitcoin's in honey badger mode right now, and we're starting to finally get that burst up into all-time highs. I will have to say, though, we got a lot of selling pressure, so that's something to take note of, right? A lot of different confluences on the chart to say different stuff. Not really too much to say where price is going to go from here, just because we're in kind of the middle of a range at resistance, if anything, but I'm definitely more bullish on the markets overall. So we'll see what happens. I guess the main takeaway from this is let's see if Bitcoin can make a higher high and break this trend of lower highs to confirm we are actually going to go ahead and march on up to all-time highs and have that big potential altcoin season. And let's talk about the altcoin market right now, because Total 3 has been shaping up very, very well. We talked about, from this swing low to swing high, that we had gotten back to that golden pocket retracement, and this was going to be a macro double bottom that would go ahead and give us the momentum to send us above $620 billion market cap, above this high. Let's see if we can start making the higher highs on the altcoin market as well. And assuming we can do that, I think you're going to see Bitcoin dominance start to fall, as it has started today, but we have been seeing the Bitcoin dominance be very, very bullish within here. So I don't want to say this is the top yet. We definitely could see a bit more of a rally on the dominance, just like we had back here. You look at 2021, when the altcoin season started, we had a burst up on the Bitcoin dominance before this thing falls over. And when this starts to fall over, that does mark the top, or at least the top end range for Bitcoin, and it allows altcoins to have their entire rally while Bitcoin is up at the highs. So I would expect, let's say Bitcoin goes to that $90,000 right now, you'd probably see this come up, and then Bitcoin distributes around $90,000 while altcoins go on a massive run, sending Bitcoin dominance to the ground. And that would be your big indication that the top is coming in and you need to be selling after Bitcoin dominance starts hunting lower prices, right? I would expect Bitcoin dominance to potentially get all the way down to this range low somewhere in here. This is where you're looking to sell your bags, potentially, maybe even DCAing out of it throughout this entire range, right? You don't want to exactly try to time the top, because it's very difficult to do that. So being able to DCA even while trying to time the market at the same time is the most efficient way to do things. We look at the S&P 500, and you can see this has made a new all-time high, getting above the value area high here. And not only did we make an all-time high, we actually closed above all-time high. So yesterday it looked a bit sketchy because we had a swing failure, right? Bearish swing failure of this level and come all the way back down. But now we have gone ahead and started to close clearly above all-time highs, looking very, very bullish here on the S&P 500. So let's see if this can continue up here. I think this bearish div on the weekly time frame is in fact going to hold at some point, and it is going to mark the top, but I just don't think it's going to play out quite yet. I think we're going to see a bit more of a move up, and then the top will come in a bit later on, but we will go ahead and actually have this weekly bear div on the RSI play out at some point. So we'll make sure to keep our eyes on this, and of course we'll make sure to keep you guys updated here daily on the channel, so make sure to subscribe. But yeah, base case remains the same, all-time high sooner rather than later. I think the top's going to come in later 2024, early 2025, but I'm up to be proven wrong. This is just a hypothesis based on the data we have right now. But if you have any questions about anything I talked about, or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below. Also down below is a VIP Discord. That is a work in progress right now, so it's 25% off, but I am trying to provide as much value as possible, so go check it out. Click the link in the description down below to learn more, and then also click those exchange links down below. They all offer their own perks and benefits and exclusive rewards and bonuses to those of you that use my referral links to sign up. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.